Good afternoon, everyone. Please rise. We're ready to start today. I thought I was getting a song intro. Thank you. Welcome to the Caden Museum Garage here for our meeting of the Rotary Club of Gainesville on this Tuesday, February 7th. For all the gentlemen in the crowd, this is your 1 week warning for Valentine's Day. Okay, remember, it's a week from today. I'm Tom Collette, your Sergeant at Arms. For those of you watching on Zoom, we ask that you please identify yourself in the chat so Brendan can go ahead and register your participation. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, send us an email for your participation to info@rotarygainesville.org. Also, folks, please silence your cell phones. If it goes off during the meeting, that is a $5 violation. We're going to enforce that. That's from the top up. That's from Greg. Oh, come on, Bill. Looking good in the yellow shirt, though. Okay, we are going to start, as we do, with song and Pledge of Allegiance. And since he's back this week, maybe a joke. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Pete Enwall.
Good to be back. I want to first off thank whoever moved the tables back, because it is harder to hit me with stuff from there. I have just a couple of philosophical questions. My grandfather was a philosophy professor, and so I think about pretty deep stuff. So just leave these with you, and maybe by next week you will have an answer. We go to ball games and we sing "Take Me Out to the Ballpark," but we're already there. Why do we sing that? Why do we park in a driveway? Okay. We believe that all the world is a stage. If that's true, where does the audience sit? Okay, never mind. We're going to sing. Yeah, I know. Now you realize why you didn't really miss me. We're going to sing "God Bless America." God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now please remain standing for our invocation offered today via Zoom by Kevin Thorpe. Kevin?
May we pray. Lord, we are beyond grateful for this day and for all that it means. We thank you for this season and all that we will celebrate. Thank you for this club, each of its members, and our families. We pray a special blessing upon today's presentation as we honor you for the planet that you have given us and made us stewards over. Bless what we do and what we say for your sake and for your glory. Amen.
Thank you very much, Kevin. If you're visiting us, please remain standing. Everyone else can have a seat. And if you have a guest with you, you remain standing with them. I believe Jason Shank has the wireless mic. He's going to bring that about.
I'm about to sit down. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I want to introduce my friend Anthony Traina. Anthony is a friend and a client, and also owns a business called Tropical American Timber and has his shop right over here and exports beautiful woods from Costa Rica. Import. Yeah. Welcome.
Bob Crane again from the state of Iowa, and I found two lovely chicks here that are with me. I don't know who they are, but I'll let you know how it comes out, all right?
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Dana Nemini visiting from the Rotary Club of Greater Gainesville.
I might add that Dana's the past president of this club. Glad to have you back with us. I have guests of mine today, people who used to be residents of Gainesville, who are prominent members of our town here, our city, who impacted it in a great way, and we miss them dearly. They're down in Mexico now, enjoying life, and it's good to have Betsy Whitaker and Doug Whitaker, her husband. Betsy's a past president of, and the first woman's president of the Gainesville Chamber of Commerce. So we're glad to have them with us. And she's a past member of this club as well. So glad to have you.
Afternoon, Nathan Dodge with Kinley Horn. I've been here a few weeks and I keep coming back.
Thank you all for joining us today. Today is the first Tuesday of another month here in February. So it's time to honor our Rotarians who have birthdays during the month of February. If you are present today, please bring your dollar up to Greg Young at table number 1. These are our birthdays for the month in alphabetical order. Richard Allen, Joseph Anderson. This young man has his birthday next week. He just spoke. Ben Campen. You can applaud that. Ed Ellett, Byron Flagg, Buddy Goodman, Charity Hall, Gordon Hubble. I won't make you pay $1. You play piano every week. Amber Miller, Dana Miller, Stacy Scott, Patsy Thomas, Jonathan Turner, and Danielle Ware. And now we bring back Pete to sing happy birthday to our fellow Rotarians. Pete.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, fellow Rotarians. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
One guy applauds Pete. Thank you. That was a polite golf clap. Someone in the back, too. Thank you. We have 3 announcements for the good of the order today. First announcement comes to us from Deborah Newell. Deborah, come on up.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I want to reiterate that the Rotary Youth Exchange is off and running, and the table that I ran up here from has several of our team members from this club. Right at the moment, we need volunteers. We need volunteers who are interested in being host families for the 2023-24 school year. That's not for the whole year. That's for 3 or 4 months of that year. If you're interested, let Guy Jopling know. Guy, stand up or raise your hand. And okay, so this is your last chance because Jan and Bill are ready to go out the gate and start interviewing families among others. Okay, so get with Guy this week. Let him know, catch him after the meeting if you're interested in the possibility of hosting. The second opportunity is we need team members to interview the potential host families. We're going to have probably upwards of 15 families at least to interview, and they need to be interviewed in teams of 2. So if you've done that in the past, of which I could call names, but there are people in this room who have done that in the past. And even if you haven't done it in the past, it would be a great way to get involved, and it would help a great deal. Also, let Guy know. And he is coordinating that aspect of the program this year. The next thing, or the last thing, I think, is that we are having our reestablished Rye Rotary Youth Exchange program here for the Rotary members on March 7th, and you won't want to miss that. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Deborah. Next up to announce his intentions and what he needs to tell us today, John Thomas. Come on up, John.
My intentions, it sounds so, I don't know if that's formal or what that is, but Rotarians, good to see everybody. We had a wonderful work day this past Saturday, so good, in fact, that we were canceling this Saturday's work day, but we will have one the Saturday before the Wild Game Feast. Today's the last day to secure a spot as a sponsor on the t-shirts, so if you're looking to sponsor, today is the day to do it. We have tickets in the back for you. Please come see us afterwards to pay for them. Wilbur has the world-famous Cousins Family Southeast Car Agency raffle tickets as well, so hope to see you guys in a second.
Thank you very much, John. Our final announcement today, presented by Helen Gilstrom.
I'm going to sneak 5 seconds in here. Sign-ups for the bar to help at the Wild Game Feast are on the table. I will give you training. Right, you take this, you take that, and you put it together with ice. It's really hard. We'll take anyone who would like to join us and smile at everyone as they come up to the bar. So please do that. Today we're here actually to celebrate the grateful Rotarian contributions that we completed in January. This is Alan Daring and Monica Williams. They're both here from the Bread of the Mighty Food Bank. Your support of this was exceptional this last year. I can't believe it. Those of you who want the story from about my grandson, he was afraid to sit at the table at the Christmas party because he thought he'd have to ask people for money. And as people went by and put money in the thing, he just looked at me and he smiled. He said, "You don't have to ask for anything here." I said, "You got it. You got it right." We are thankful to Kathy Pierce for her wonderful challenge. I think that kind of spurred some of us into maybe making sure that none of that was left unpaid. We took 73 pounds of food to the Bread of the Mighty Food Bank. I think from what I've read on their website, that is the equivalent of 63 meals. The contributions from our club in cash and check came to $3,800.81. Plus we had Kathy's challenge, so the total today that we're going to celebrate is $5,800.81. We think that's the best. Alan,
We're very glad to be here, Rotarians, to receive such a generous donation from you. I'd like to briefly introduce, I'm the Director of Finance. I'd like to briefly introduce Monica Williams, who's the Manager of Strategic Initiatives, who will just briefly talk about our important mission.
I'll keep it brief, I promise. Thank you so much for having us, and thank you for this wonderful donation and ongoing support. Alan and I are fairly new to the food bank, but as we look at records and hear stories and those that have been there much longer than us, we know that this Rotary Club has been a huge supporter of us. So that money that you give us, if we translate that, that will equal 34,800 meals that will be provided from your collection of over $5,000. And I know that you all are very well aware of how the food bank works. And so right now in our economy, $1 equals 6 meals. And if you've been around for a while and you've seen some of our posters and our signage, you know that it used to be $1 was 8 meals. But just like every individual and every business, we're affected by the inflation, right? So now we're at $1 equals 6 meals, but there's so much that we're able to do with that. And I just want to assure you that we are full steam ahead in 2023 with our mission. We continue to serve 5 counties. We have over 170 agencies that we consider the hands and feet, that we deliver the food to them, and then they distribute it to our neighbors in need. And another exciting, we are really increasing our mobile food pantries. And so that's where we're going into all these different zip codes and areas of need that need, poundage of food. And we're showing up with our trucks, and, we're having our neighbors come through, and we can give them food right then and there. And so your money will help us be able to increase the amount of mobile food pantries we do. So again, thank you for your ongoing support, not just today, but years past and moving forward. I know that we have such a strong partnership with all of you, so we're very grateful. Thank you.
And if you remember, we also did a huge collection for the corner drugstore of toiletries and toothpaste and toothbrushes and moisture lotion, all kinds of things. And that will all be delivered today over to CDS. So thank you everyone for contributing. One commercial. If you want to join and be part of the challenge grant for the next time, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. Now, without further ado, we turn the meeting over to your president, Greg Young, everyone.
Thank you, Tom, and welcome, everyone. I forgot to introduce my guest who's standing in the back of the room, Edgar O'Neill. He's a program associate here at the Cade Museum, and he came to visit us and see what we do over here. And actually, he's helping us coordinate a future meeting with some of the Cade Prize winners. So look forward to that this year soon. Well, it's great to see everyone here today, and a reminder that this is the last day to sign up for the Rotary Leadership Institute that's going to be held here in Gainesville. So I'm encouraging everyone to sign up for that can and want to. And we already have, I believe, about 17 members that have signed. So we've got a great turnout. The other clubs are doing a great job. So we may be getting more of these events back in Gainesville, which is huge. So please contact me if you have any questions. Jacob, can you stand up? Jacob Patim. Jacob back there, I want to acknowledge Jacob. He did a lot of work along with some other Rotarians, but Jacob did the lion's share for a grant for the South Sudanese project for child and maternal health. It got brought up to the district, it made it to RI, it came back, they approved it. So between the matching grant from one of our generous anonymous donors in this club of $10,000, the district is giving us $10,000, so $20,000 for Jacob to take on that project with his group. So congratulations, Jacob. I will say Jacob hit the ground running in this club. This was a passion for him to help the people that he has back in Sudan, and I think this is a great another project international that we do other than the Sustainable Cambodia, which is where Richard's actually over in Cambodia right now on a trip with other Rotarians. So this past summer in Houston, Texas, it's a little hot, Rotary International held its annual convention. And these conventions are inspiring gatherings of Rotary leaders and Rotary members from across the globe. And some of the activities include lectures, breakout sessions, there's some social events, but I think that the favorite thing that everybody says they like the most is called the House of Friendship. And this takes place in a large convention center within the center that's hosting all these events. And I will say that according to Rotary International, I'm quoting, the House of Friendship is the ultimate destination for Rotarians to gather the tools and resources needed to make an impact around the world. It was at the House of Friendship in Houston where I met today's speaker, John Mathers. John was hosting a booth offering information about how Rotarians can take action to impact climate change for the better. So John is a business advisor in San Francisco, a past president of the Rotary Club of San Francisco, which he notes is the second oldest Rotary Club in the world, and is a leader in the Climate Change Reality Project and is very active in the Rotary Climate Action Team. So I'm so excited to have John join us today via Zoom, and we have a little bandwidth issue in this particular room on Zoom, so I'm hoping the technical gods will smile on us today. So please give John a warm Gainesville welcome.
Thank you. So let me get underway. Okay, so just a little background. I've spent the last 5 decades traveling all over the world, working with Fortune 1000 companies, mom and pop startups, Chapter 11, and my focus has always been on strategy, on building a high performance team of senior managers and making a difference, but strategy around growth, marketing, and understanding your competition. At the same time, I just wanted to identify my middle name is Grinnell, and I'm named after my great uncle, George Bird Grinnell, who was the founder of the Audubon Society and set aside Glacier National Park. So birds and conservation have been in our family forever. As a matter of fact, my great cousin set up the first recycling center west of the Mississippi. So it's been an interest to me to watch all the things that are going on in the climate and people's reaction to them, especially in the developing world, and what we need to do in the developed world. So I want to talk today. I've got some very serious and perhaps harsh things that I want to talk about, but it's about the race for domination. We're in a competition. And if you understand competition, you understand that it's all about winning. You use your partners, you make sure that your users are happy, you keep any substitutes out of your market, and you make sure no new entries come in. And we see that totally. We see it in our capitalist environment. We see it in war and the competition we have with China and with Russia. We see that all over. That is the norm. And it's all about power and it's all about profitability. We all know that. I spent 5 decades focused on that and helping companies do extremely well. So there's also competition going on between humankind and nature. You have the developed world and the developing world wanting to have be the head in the competition, and you have nature, and somehow we are battling to determine who's going to win. Humankind advantage, we have lots of business as usual. We want to continue doing business as usual. We want to live the lifestyle we're used to. We've seen, especially in the arena of climate action, we've seen politics as usual. We see that all of us would like to be one of those billionaires on the 500-foot yacht and live comfortably in a secured community. At the same time that we see population crises all over the world and inequality. So humankind has advantages. We've got power and strength, but let's look at what it is that God has said. God told us that we have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, the cattle, and over the earth. The Quran says the same thing, that the world is subservient to us. So we believe that, and we have built a capitalist system based on that. So wars also are all about making sure that our way of life is prevalent and has dominion over other areas. Look at what happened with all the activity around the balloon that just went down off of Myrtle Beach. Those kind of things happen all the time. And nature has advantages too. They are making sure that there is always new biodiversity and that there are organisms that survive and that they allow for a natural evolution, and they are not allowing for substitutes. And the substitutes are, many of them, things that have to do with our world and our developed world. So we see that now all over the world. We see the things that are happening out here in California. We had this atmospheric river that came in, and I looked out my window 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't see more than 10 feet. We had a rain bomb that dropped a ton of water in to the point where you could not see 10 feet away. That's scary. But at the same time, the nature says we'll evolve. We'll get to where we need to be at the time we need to be. We need to understand that our blue marble, our world, is in perfect balance. It's going to be just fine. The question is, what about humankind? And according to the UN Secretary General, we're on the road to climate hell with our foot firmly on the accelerator. What does that mean? It means that there are tipping points that we're coming very close to. Ones that you know all about, perhaps ones you're not so aware of. Everybody understands all about the Arctic and the ice flows and the glaciers that are disappearing and the fears that people have around what's happening in Antarctica. At the same time, the forests around the world are being attacked. There's desertification, excuse me. There's also fires. Right now, if you don't know, Chile has 2/3 of Chile is national park. And right now, there are fires burning that they can't put out. So we're seeing that all over the world. We're also seeing permafrost becoming a new and growing problem, releasing methane into the atmosphere. But perhaps, and the coral reefs, we have a program actually, our network does, where we're restoring reefs around the world. But one of the things that we don't understand that needs to be understood is that the Atlantic circulation, the current that goes up along the Atlantic coast and actually goes all the way around the world is slowing down. And the impacts that that has. I've got evidence of that from my sister who lives in Portland, Maine, where there are rising sea levels because as the current slows down, it goes into the Gulf of Maine and raises the sea level. So there are responses to this. We tend to be failing to act effectively. And that's because, we don't want to change our lifestyle. I love my life. It's good or bad. I don't want to change it. If it's not visible to the naked eye, it doesn't exist. Once in a lifetime problems, soon we'll be back to normal. I hear that from people talking about the rain out here over the last month. Oh, gee, I'm so glad we're back to normal. Well, this is the normal. We will have these going on. We will have the tornadoes. We'll have the rising seas. Too far away from my life, somewhere else in the future. And besides, what can I do? Who cares if Miami is 6 meters underwater in 50 years? Some people don't care. And I do projects. I recycle. I plant trees. I have our club has programs. I do my part. What else do you expect of me? So there's an inflection point where we move from fossil fuels to renewables. And there are 3 things we need to be aware of as we go after that inflection point. We need to do mitigation. We need to plan for the change. We need to do adaptation. We need to be able to prevent things from happening when they happen. And we need to sequester carbon. The carbon in the atmosphere is not going to go away, even if we reach 2050 and we've gotten down to 1.5 and we've hit net zero. It doesn't matter. We still have the carbon in the atmosphere we've got to remove. We need to shift our subsidies and regulate emissions. Right now, the projection from the fossil fuel industry is subsidies worldwide will grow at 7.5% for the next 3 years. I'm sorry, did we say we were supposed to reduce subsidies? So subsidies for renewables are running about the same. That's crazy. We're talking about $6.1 trillion a year going to subsidies for fossil fuel companies. BP just announced yesterday that they are cutting back on their commitment to renewables and going to put more into leases and exploration. And so I'm confused about this. And the bottom line is we need to revamp our lifestyle. In the developed world, we need to spend more attention on sustainability and how we might be able to do that. So we're at a crossroads. The environmental movement was founded on blocking bad things from happening. And it was based on inequality, individual and national. And we're creating wider gaps where we all seek to improve our lives. Local, regional, and national legislation, as well as climate solutions like wind, are moving towards being norms, which is wonderful. At the same time, lifestyle is developing in the developing world is not sustainable. I'm sorry, in the developed world, and all the nations want to get there. They want to be having the world that we have. So what do we need to do? We need a movement that has been for a long time focused on what not to do. We need to look at the capitalist and economic growth, the world that we're in, and find ways in which to include sustainability as part of it. We need to use the forces of capitalism and economic growth going forward. Now, we are making progress. There are tipping points. Electric production is a tipping point and has been developing dramatically. We've actually, I don't know whether you're taking action on this, but we're working with a group out of the Vatican that is doing mindful eating. What if we didn't have that hamburger every day? In California, we talk about, the importance of saving water. If you want to save 1,300 gallons of water in California, the thing you need to do is you don't flush your toilet for 6 months, or you don't take a shower for 3 months, or you don't have a hamburger for lunch. So we have some people that are beginning to understand what we can do in the area of food and food production. And at the same time, we have wonderful tipping points that we see around clean transportation. But in all of these, you have to have some kind of legislative action. And we're actually doing that. We are becoming more resilient, and we're being defiantly so. And we see that in the actions of groups, and especially groups of young people. So you got 3 different areas that you can involve with. You can involve in the global arena, you can involve in your community, or you can do things in your own house, or you can do all 3. My feeling is that you just like St. Francis said, start by doing what is necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible. And we're actually building and can build a sustainable world, one that is built on economic goals, on social responsibility, and on environmental protection. What can you do? This is the big thing. People ask, what can I do? What can I do? And according to Jennifer Jones, the world needs Rotary now more than ever, because we are an organization that has presence all around the globe. Our network, the network that I'm co-chair of, currently has 924 clubs that are in 92 countries that are taking action around the climate issue. And I'm pleased and proud, but that's 924 out of, I think, 45,000 now. We need to have ways in which to use Rotary to have an impact not just on projects, but on our local governments. So first and foremost, we need to be thinking about, and if you haven't read it, the Rotary policy statement, that is the 7th area of focus, is powerful. It's all about protecting our environment. It's about taking action amidst the crisis and addressing environmental inequality. If you haven't read it, go online and pick it up, or go on to our website and read it. It is very, very impressive. So, things to do. You need to make a commitment. You know, whether it's individual or whether it's the club. We have districts around the country, around the world, that actually have the entire district has committed for all of their clubs. And then what they do is they reach out to the clubs and what can you do? The commitment is, I'm going to do something, we're going to do something in 2023. And then do an assessment, see where you stand right now, see where you are in relationship to the Sustainable Development Goals from the UN. See where you are in relationship to your carbon footprint. Take action, put together projects. I know that you're doing projects. What else can you do? What ways in which can you build an action team in your club that will do something that will make a difference? And advocate. If you didn't know, the Citizens Climate Lobby has a Rotary group within it. There are lots of ways in which you can take action. So the pledge, you can go to the Global Climate Pledge and you can, as an individual, as a club, you can take action. You can go to SRAG, the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, and look at the pledge that is available there. You can go to the Climate Action Team Network, and from there you can go and make a commitment. But make a commitment, become a member of SRAG, set up a climate action team. And you can make a difference by assessing your world. Our favorite assessment tool is brightaction.app. And Bright Action, you go in, you put in your zip code, and you fill out some detail, and you'll get 70 different things that you can do in your home, in your business, in your community that will make a difference in carbon. You can also go and do assessments for your business and get a green certification. And also, I think it's really important that you assess your travel and find ways in which to offset the travel or be more responsible when you travel. If you set up to do a tour, do you set up and send the money to New York? Or are you spending the money in the location where you're going? If you're going to do a safari, do they get the money or does it go to an organization in New York? All the other thing we're doing for us anyway, is we use TerraPress as a way of calculating the cost of our travel. So for instance, when we went to the International Convention in Houston, all the people that went from our club all calculated the cost for them in carbon, and they did an offset. And the money that was given for the offset went to the Rotary Climate Action Team that our club sponsors. So they can do more projects and undertake more in other parts of the world. So also, I don't know whether you do this or not, but if you have a foundation, have you looked at your retirement account? Do you see whether you're supporting fossil fuel activity or are you doing a more green portfolio? Not hard to do, and there's lots of ways in which to do it. And we've got toolkits that allow you to be able to understand how you can go about doing that. But it's worth doing the calculation and taking action to strategically move to a sustainable environment. Taking action with projects. If you don't know Project Drawdown, you can go online and download the Drawdown Review, which gives you dozens of different projects that you can actually undertake. Or you can go to something like Speed and Scale, which is a wonderful listing of things that you can do that'll make a difference. So here's an example. Here's a bunch of different projects you can undertake. We did an EV ride drive where you actually showed off some electric vehicles. It was put on by Rotary and Rotaractors, and it showed the difference between an EV and a hybrid and a regular gas car. And we ended up with hundreds and hundreds of people coming to look at these different cars and understand more about them. Or mindful eating. We've actually developed a recipe book for Rotary clubs so that they can give it to their caterers, and they can have once a month luncheons or dinners that are plant-based. Good plant-based, not the garbage that some of the think is actually a plant-based diet. And we believe very firmly in advocating. Be a member of EDF, go to CCL, do whatever in your community feels like you can understand the legislation and push on your legislators to do more and take more action. If you do something in your club and you reach out and look at the clean energy plan for your community or your county or your state, you can actually take action to support the community or the county or the state by looking at what it is that they're doing and what they're looking for. So please commit, assess, act, advocate, sign the pledge, join SRAG, start a climate action team, consider your lifestyle and your footprint, take on projects that make a difference and advocate in your community and beyond. I'll leave this up just for a minute, but I really believe firmly that we are at a tipping point where it's going to be individual action and club action, group action, like your club, that's going to make the difference going forward. It's not going to come from COP26 or COP27. If you look at the track record of these organizations, we're not getting the results that we would hope to be able to get. So if you're interested in the pledge, or you're interested in initiatives that SRAG is doing, or you're interested in the CCL Rotary group, or you want to upload projects, there's some QR codes for you. So thank you very much. And I would love to answer any questions that you have. So I'm going to stop sharing at this point.
Thank you, John. John, while Jason is carrying around the microphone to members of our club here, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Zoom questions too.
There's a Zoom question? Okay, I'll get next. I have a question related to the thinking that climate change is a natural occurrence, that human activity doesn't impact that. What has been the evidence that you've seen by going to all these conferences and seeing from the scientists that we as humans are making an impact?
Well, 99% of the scientists out there say that this is, yes, there may be natural cycles, but they're aggravated by human action. And as an example, we've never had an atmospheric river coming across the Pacific. And if you look at the severity of hurricanes or of tornadoes or of the rainstorms that we're having or of the droughts, if you look at the natural progression of deserts moving more towards the north, you'll see that these are things that are supported by our human actions. But let's say that it's just all natural. Let's say it's all just a natural evolution and we're part of that. we still need to mitigate, we still need to adapt, we still need to do what we can to reduce pollution in our atmosphere. So there's no, it doesn't really matter. Although, from my standpoint, and having been in the business of finding ways in which to pollute more effectively in some of my clients, I think very, very firmly, I believe that this is something that we have the ability to impact, and we should be impacting it. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, yes, John. Thank you so much. And we have a Zoom question.
Yes, we do. First one from Jenny Van Hart. Are you finding some countries in the Rotary world are more interested in this cause than others?
Absolutely. We did a global event out of Assisi, from Assisi in November, where we had representatives from all over the world online and in person. And it was fascinating to me how many of them said that, oh yeah, no, we want to take action. We are also in touch, because we're in 92 different countries, we're in touch with countries that are really suffering, and ones that are willing to put things aside in order to improve their economic opportunities. So for instance, India is still buying coal from Australia, so is China. But they're not willing to make a commitment to reduce their greenhouse gases or their use of coal until they can create the kind of economic success that they would like to have. That's also true of China. Australia, interesting, they said, well, our plan is to get to net zero sometime in 2050. Yes, we want to do that. How are you going to do it? Well, we're not going to do anything but to continue to support our economic growth and sell clean coal or coal because we have so much of it, despite the fact that it's having a damaging impact, not just on Australia, but on other countries. They said, we want to do that. And so then they were asked, okay, so how are you going to get to that net zero all of a sudden? And they said, we're going to count on technology to solve the problem for us. Well, that isn't good enough. We need to be doing things now, not hoping for a miracle. I'm not sure that answered your question.
Time only for one more question, Jason.
We have one last question, and then we're going to have to wrap it up kind of quickly.
Okay, my question, this is Deborah Newell. My question is, particularly in the southern tier states, we have an emphasis on using solar, and there are incentives to do so. If everybody in the southern half of the United States would use solar at even a nominal amount, can you give us an estimate what kind of an impact that could make for a sustainable and renewable energy source?
I have no idea what impact. There are two things that you have to think about, though. If you have solar and you're doing it through the new IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, or your state is supporting it, that's wonderful. You're producing more electricity. It goes back into the system. I think that's wonderful. I have no idea what that would mean, except that it would definitely have an impact on the grid, and it would force, which we need to do, force us to improve the grid across the country, so that what we can do is we can count on any time that we need the energy, we can get it anywhere in the country. So I don't know what the impact would be, but the more solar, the better. I talked to a gentleman last week. I met the senior senator from New Mexico in a small group, and one of the people that was there is currently says, well, we've got 20 million solar panels that we're working with currently in solar arrays. So the more the better. it'll make a huge difference.
John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, this one's been in the planning for a while, so I'm so glad to finally have you here. Very powerful presentation, impactful, and it was positive to hear what we can do as Rotarians. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Gainesville, I will be presenting this to you via mail. It is a certificate stating that the Rotary Club of Gainesville will be giving a donation to the membership or the Cade Museum Scholarship Fund for underserved communities in our community. So
wonderful.
You're very welcome. Thank you again. And at this point, Helen, would you come up for a moment, please? I want to bring Helen back up to the lectern because due to your hard work through the Grateful Rotarians, you've been handling that for a number of years now, along with Linda, and now Linda's stepping down because she's going to be our president next year. So I want to thank you for that. And I also want to thank you, I don't know how many of you know this, but Helen and her husband, Tom, have been hosting the recent new member orientation meetings. Since COVID, they were shut down. Now they're back in full bloom, and she is doing such a wonderful job, and I want to give her a round of applause. Thank you, and there's so many members of the club to thank. I hate to single out people, but Helen's done such a great job here. And so thanks everyone for joining us today. Next week, our program will be the Thriving Cities Festival, which will be held here in Gainesville starting next Thursday through Monday of President's Day. And you'll be getting more information on that next week at our program. Quote of the day, I had a number of them, but I'm going to cut it down to the one I think is most succinct. Men argue, nature acts. Voltaire. On your way out, please see John or Wes to get up your Wild Game Feast tickets. Yes, John and Wes. And also, I will say the lucky number for the Rotary raffle for the reading safari is 584, and we're adjourned. Thank you, John.